A very good morning to you. My name is Daniel Wahome and welcome to Sports Check on the 16th day of December 2024. Well, one of the stories that we are going to be looking at is a Devolution Summit press briefing that is happening at State House, Nairobi. That is information that we've received this morning. So we are going to be waiting for that and we'll be going live to State House to get a briefing on that. And also remember that the city of Mombasa has been hosting the East African Community Interparliamentary Games, a briefing on how the games have been going. And remember that the closing ceremony is taking place tomorrow evening, a whole celebration of sport and the culture of the East African community. It's been on for the last 10 days. A lot of celebrations and also a brief on how everything has been done. Dan Wendwa is our reporter there. And even as the year comes to a close sporting-wise, the Boxing Federation of Kenya, they have said that they are going to do as many as possible of their boxing league events outside of the capital, Nairobi. Take the sport to where the people are. We've seen them in Nanyuki, we've seen them go out west, and this time the fifth and final leg of the Elite Boxing League is going to be taking place, and this is in Homa Bay County at the Raila Odinga Stadium. And also reviewing the year, we've seen that Kenya won a gold medal at the Elite Africa Boxing Championships for the first time in 7 years. The last time was in 2017. We got a gold medal this year. And what are some of the fruits that have been born? And for example, by getting into a partnership with Cuba such that our boxing style can change, and the lessons learned throughout that year. So Musa Benjamin, who is the head coach of the national boxing team, which is known as a hit squad, will be joining us and also giving us some of the hits and misses, so to speak, as far as that sport is concerned. But right now, we'll be getting into our first conversation, and this is about water, sport, and before I introduce my guests and the entire topic, our sign language interpreter is Brian Morarco. So straight to this, and on Friday, that's last week, the Kenya Rafting Federation was officially launched, and this was in Sagana. It was an event where we saw players in the hospitality industry and also the sporting industry, and from the sister sport to rafting, which is canoeing and kayaking, also getting involved, because all of them use one common resource, water, without which there would be no rafting, no canoeing in Kenya, no rowing, so to speak, that would be having there. So let's all get into this conversation. So straightforward to introduce my guests, because this conversation is going to span not just across water sport, but because of things that came up, from the conversations on Friday evening of environment and also education. On my immediate left is the Secretary General of the Kenya Rafting Federation, William Kinothia. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers.
Good morning. And that's where he is. Right. Our second left to me is Julius Kamau. He's the Chief Conservator of Forests Emeritus. He was the chief guest on Friday, and so he's coming because there is the whole aspect of the environment. Because, like I mentioned, no water, no rafting, then it would be cross-country on rocks. And also, we have got John Shege, who's the Training and Development Director at the Kenya Rafting Federation.
Thank you.
So let me start with USG, because this is straightforward. We are seeing, the federation eventually get registered. Just a background of how this got into place.
Okay. Good morning, viewers. My name is William Kinuthia. I'm the Secretary General, Kenya Rafting Federation, which is newly registered federation. But rafting has been here the last 30 years. We were just doing rafting as a commercial aspect of it, whereby bringing together tourists all over the world. So far in Sagana, where is the main attraction and the cost for rafting, we have been able to host 155 nationalities the last 10 years that have come. So it has been a sport for non-residents and especially people from outside the country who love. But now Kenyans have embraced that and they love it. That's why we have now come up with Kenya Rafting Federation. We saw that it is important not only to get money commercially, but also bring in the aspect of leisure and sport in rafting.
Well, and you've got to know that any federation that's got to be registered has got to, comply with the Sports Act of 2013. Just give us a background, of making sure that you got that first certificate from the
Yes.
sports registrar.
To register a federation, you have to go to the registrar of sports registrar. You apply, and according to the regulations which are there under Sports Act 2013, you have to comply. If you are 2 males, 1 must be a female. So that's the only way. And then the other qualifications, you have to be you should not have a criminal record. You have tax compliance. You have to pay your loans, help. Those are the qualifications. And of course, you have to be a Kenyan. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh, and overall, just give us an outlook, because you're here with two. You've got your director for training, and here you are as the SG. Just an outlook of the federation's executive.
Yes. So we have the president of the federation is a lady. Actually, she's in school. She is in Strathmore University, 25 years, and of course playing. She's in a lot of rafting and all this kayaking. I'm the Secretary General.
Her name?
Oh, her name is Muthoni Mwangi.
Okay.
Yeah, she's the president. My name is William Kinuthia. As I said, I'm the Secretary General. And then we have Ibrahim Mwangi, who is the National Treasurer and has qualification as a certified public accountant. Yes.
Well, so that's the federation in place. And let me come to you, Bwana Kambawe, and looking at this is a sport that exploits a natural resource, and at its best, other sports that I would say and I would like you just to look at a comparison with football, which uses, because we've seen beach sports now, and also, for example, beach volleyball can be played anywhere, even in landlocked countries. I know Makueni hosts quite some of these events, and also Homa Bay hosts the beach volleyball events. How do you see this kind of activities from the sporting perspective and also from the nature conservancy?
Yeah, thank you so much for for that kind of a question. There's a very serious link between water-based sport and conservation of environment, because this rafting utilizes the natural environment as it were. So talk about the river, basically, which is actually the host of this kind of rafting. And rivers basically are coming from as a resource or a service from conservation effort, especially the catchment areas, mostly covered by forests. So it is actually one of the sports that will make people, and especially Kenyans, to create more awareness of understanding the sustainability of this sport actually cannot be guaranteed until we conserve our environment. And that's why we come in terms of talking about sustainability. The reason being this: if we mess up with forest catchment areas in the upstream, then of course you'll have less water. With no water, you cannot do rafting. If you also mess up, then there's another twist of it. When you have excess rain, then you have flooding. Again, you cannot do rafting in that situation. So we have to stabilize our waters, and the only way we can do that is by conserving our environment and dealing with the issues of climate change that are affecting us on a daily basis. That is the link between this sport adventure for rafting and the conservation of environment.
Well, actually, let me come to you now. Come to you, Shege, as the technical director. Yeah. Getting people to understand the sport and the intricacies around it, including safety, because this is whitewater rafting. You're using rapids and cataracts, so it means the surface keeps changing, and you've got what we call the mini waterfalls that everyone has got to navigate through. How do you get people ready for this?
Okay, one thing is rafting as an emerging opportunity in sports for the young people and for people who love extreme water sports. We have noted that there is a lot of capacity building that needs to be done. And we have been holding trainings from even international renowned facilitators. Like last month, we had a facilitator from South Africa training our river guides on how to be able to learn about water safety through the process, and then also guiding them on how they can also be able to mentor other people. And that's when we noted that we need to also build capacity among the people who have not exploited these sports. And on that, the training and development department is so keen in bringing in that capacity building. And we are working with TVET and CDAC on putting a curriculum that will span that opportunity wavelength to be able to go across the board, so that we can also have training on. We do TOT programs.
TOT, that's trainer of trainers.
Yes, so that we can be able to also build capacity here in Kenya and even abroad.
Well, talking about it, what is it that you have seen by engaging, the rafting experts who come from outside the country through the International Federation, and making sure that there is enhanced safety? Given that, if you just look at the surface, it's rocky. People adhere to the right safety gear, and those who are there offering lifeguard services don't do that well.
What happens by engaging these experts, you note that from where we are operating in, there is a gap. And that gap has to be filled by training, because most of our guiding teams here in Kenya are undertrained. And therefore, that gap can only be breached through training and developing, and also capacity building. And it was interesting seeing how the youth are motivated. We had a group of youths from different partners in the rafting industry. And we noted the curiosity they have to be able to exploit that great opportunity. Yeah.
Wow, very interesting. So let's come to you, SD, because this is something that you do a lot. From, like you mentioned, from the commercial perspective, getting the right equipment for competition is something that a lot of people may have a conversation about. Getting that raft, making sure that you have the right inflation gear, you have the flotation devices, the helmets, and the paddles.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. As we said, this is a very new sport in terms of sport in Kenya. And we don't have a local manufacturer who does all this building of the boats, but we have to import them. And in fact, even in Africa, South Africa is the only country which has equipment south of, in Cape Town only. But most of these are from either America, which is North America, and of course Europe, and also China. But they are not very, very expensive. It's easy to get them. So what we work with companies that have been certified. We have large companies in the world that do all this equipment. So we actually import and we bring them. But now, when we have a standard in rafting, not all equipment that you see in the shops that is certified. No, we call them personal flotation devices, like the life jackets. They have to be standard. They have these European CE. They have to have a certain standard, which now that's why we are here as a federation, so that we certify that. We are there to also engage other either commercial stakeholders who are in this space to see that they have the right gear, right equipment, right training, right facilitators. And that's why we work also with not only other players in Africa, but with also other players internationally, like International Rafting Federation, which has a membership of about 100 countries. So it's a huge thing. It's a huge movement. Yeah.
Well, in Kenya now, that there is an official federation, that means Kenya now is the newest member of that. And Wanakama, let's talk about this. I know there's a conversation that you brought out and learning lessons from other countries who do sports where they exploit nature. You've had a chance to go to the places in parts of the world which are very cold right now. Yeah. I would not want to visit there. Let me enjoy my tropical sun all the time. Yeah. But what are the lessons that they learn such that they keep? Because looking at what we have here, this is, it's called whitewater rafting. Yeah. You can see that water is white, but ours is brown.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I think it's quite an interesting conversation that we are linking sports with nature. Something that people normally wouldn't really automatically link. I have been able to work and actually travel to countries like Finland. Finland, you know, is on the upper north, and it's very cold. And cities like Levi, which is known basically for car cabling, you know, dog sledding and ice shoe horsing or something like that. And actually, for them, they need like a weather like this when it's very cold. That's when actually they need it. If the weather is warmer, then they cannot do that. So for them, they would want winter remaining as winter, okay? And that's why they thrive in that sense. In Kenya, for example, now, the challenge then you'll say, as you say, is the brown water. That's not what we would want to see. Because when we see brown water, these are topsoils that are actually supporting agricultural production. So when you see brown water, actually we are losing a lot of natural resources. So the expectation of this federation is that they will also have a conversation and possibly even supporting resource mobilization and creating awareness where they can be able to attract partners who are willing to support conservation effort in Kenya, and especially at the head of the waters that are supporting this rafting. And that would talk about working with the entities like Kenya Forest Service, you know, on the upstream, but also the communities that are between the forest and the riparians of this river. Because what has happened against the tradition is that people now are farming without soil and water conservation. That means people are digging, they leave the soil bare. When the rain comes, the soil goes. So we have to improve our soil and water conservation on the farmland level, plant trees on the farmland level, but also ensure that we still continue to conserve our water catchment areas. That was the only way we provide clean water without silt, because with siltation, then they cannot be able to do rafting. Yes.
And let me come to you, Director. When you just take a look at what has been happening, for example, this year, there were torrential rains, and the Aberdares and Mount Kenya, because those are the ones that feed the river Sagana eventually. You know, water levels rose. I mean, it was the highest levels, that had been seen for quite some time. How then does it now affect how you operate this sport?
I think one of the things that is affected is we have to look at ways of being able to do the sport in a safe manner, because what happens is safety is key, either both to our customers and also to our guides. And therefore we have a way of knowing when to go to the river, because sometimes this water comes from upstream, and then you don't predict.
It doesn't say tunakuja. Doesn't give you a call.
Because you don't predict when it is coming.
Water is analog.
We have machines from our partners, which you are able to be able to know the water levels. And also we have trained our guides in a way of knowing what is the right time to go to the river. And it is so strange because the part we are in is one of the most utilized part in rafting. White rafting, because if you look at Sagana, the area is 9 kilometers, the one we use for whitewater rafting, and you know it spans all the way to Tana, 1,000 kilometers. So if you see that 9 kilometers, that 9 kilometers gives us an opportunity to have understood it. So after using it for so many years, we are able to know where to go and where to not to go. So we have also trained our guides on mini rafting routes, and they are able to know where to go, when, and at what time. Yes.
So, yes.
Maybe bring him what John Chege says.
Yeah.
Have you ever noticed that if we have a lot of water in the river, rafting becomes really nice? You know, when people are being swept away by the currents or the water, the rapids, we enjoy doing rafting then. Because the bigger the water, the better for rafters. Now, rafting has 5 grades of water levels.
Actually, it's coming to that, because Sagana is what, 3 and 5?
No, it goes to 5. It goes to 5. Even sometimes it goes to up to level 6, which is very, very high. Then that one we remove our boats. So when you hear people, sijui wamepelekwa na maji, they have gone, people have been swept, that level is 5 in the country. But the other aspect also I wanted to mention before I forget is, when I don't do rafting, and because the levels are too low, when I come to my house in Nairobi also, there is water rationing.
Yes.
You see, it's true. If there's
what
water
happened.
rationing in my house, there's no rafting. That means even farming, there's no farming going on. So rafting is the only sport. Because if I was talking about soccer I can play in a bare field where there's no even grass. But rafting, you can't do rafting or kayak when there's no water. So water in the taps in our home, the way Julius Kamau is saying here, you know, rafting is the only activity that tells you that yes, you can farm, it's the right time to farm, or there's enough water in our taps. So that it's amazing. That's why we need to look at our environment seriously, because it's an indicator that if there's no rafting, like Morocco.
Yes.
Morocco now. Morocco has not rained the last 6 years. They are doing rafting. So they were supposed to host the first rafting championship this year. But I have a letter which came yesterday, which says, can Kenya host? We are newly registered federation, but they are asking 10 countries to come to Nairobi.
That's something that I'll come up to, because we're going to be looking at the international calendar. So you were about to mention to us about the levels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, which you say, now at that point, you hold back.
Yes. Don't do that at home.
Okay. So just give us what 1 to 5.
Yes, levels. In rafting, we have levels, or like grades. If I may use the word grades, but levels. So there's level 1. Level 1 is flat water, and the way John was saying, when you start training people, and especially amateurs, you start with level 1. Even kayaking or canoeing, you start with level 1, whereby it's how to paddle, you know, how to turn, how to, you know, all those, they are called briefs.
Actually, William, let me just do this. Let me ask my director, Mogo, if he can just get some of those clips of, you know, some of those leisure whitewater rafting. Forget the, leave alone the competition ones. These ones are local, which we picked up on Friday. He can play them so that at least we can see where everyone begins.
Yes. So that's what we are saying. So we have a briefing, and it's very easy. Soccer, you can only play soccer when you are a professional, or when you have played for quite some time. Rafting, you do it, you come today, you don't know how to do it, you do it after an hour, and you become a pro. So it's a great opportunity. So it's a very nice thing. Yes.
So here we have, because now you can describe it as part of the waters that we are seeing.
Yes.
This would be now.
This would be level. This is level 3 and 4. Yeah, you can see they are going down there. The boat can flip at some point, but now this level is when the levels are mid. This is like around August or September. Yeah, this level around August is when we have this kind of levels. But they go up. They go up. You can see this is a drift. You know, you come down, and the guide is at the back. If you look at the guide, there's a guide who is like a driver at the back. And even if you look at the jackets, different. And these are now the rapids. Yeah, this is an activity which is done. This is called the Waterfall Challenge. Yeah, so there are quite a number of activities in between. As you're going down, you do lots of other activities.
I wanted to interject because to come with a real story, because I personally did with my family on the rafting. But what you have avoided to do is that when you're doing that kind of rafting with the family and young ones, and actually I've never done it before. This is the first time, and young kids in there. Quite a safe because of the guidance that we got and the training. But I think the sounds are not there. There's quite of nice shouting and nice screaming, which is not there. But I think it's good because it connects you with nature. I think what I felt I've never felt before, when you connect with nature. And there's something they call attacking the fall, where you go with that raft under the falls, and the water comes and hit you from the head. It's an exciting journey that you don't want to miss.
Well, so that's basically one massive shower by nature.
Oh, yes. With a bit of force.
With a little bit of force.
Yeah. If you haven't showered for a week, then this is the right placement.
No, I have not been running away from some wild animals. I was not lost at the park. But we can actually see that those are the levels. So at 5 is when you have got the strongest currents.
Yes. Yes, 5 is the strongest current that we only advocate with professionals. Because as John said, when it comes to, we are able to read the river. You know, river, you read it just like a book. You know, there is the eddy, There's a main river, there's a right of the river, there's a left of the river. And you see, even when we have, and let me say this, the Rafting Federation is going to come in handy to help even Kenya. I mean, because some of the mistakes, you see, when we look at even people drowning, these are terrible mistakes only. People don't drown because they have to drown. They drown because they're terrible mistakes. Even the boats flipping or overturning, like cases that we have seen on TV. And it's not because this should happen, but because majority of Kenyans don't know what to do. They don't know their safety skills that they should apply so that they can help in such scenarios.
Yeah. Very well. Now, when you get to this developing now, because if you were to pick some of the, Kenya's canoeing teams, you'd have to pick from your river guides. They already know, number one, they are at one. They've learned the river. They know all of these. They know the rapids, the cataracts. So, John, just tell us how you help them grow such that they're able to compete at higher levels continuously.
Of course, like any other training that somebody has to do, there are levels. There is a basic level, and rafting also offers opportunities from a lower level to a higher level. So what happens is that we train them from the very basic level on how to handle the equipment, how to handle the clients, how to handle themselves. And then after they graduate from there, we take them to another level of how they can also be able to train others on how to use rafts, maintenance of raft. And therefore, it is very exciting because it offers an opportunity to be motivated because it has a tire, one tire to another tire. And we are also exploring in a way of bringing a syllabus for that. So
you mentioned because you're bringing the syllabus with the TVET authority.
Yes. We are engaging the stakeholders like CDAC and TVET.
CDAC
for curriculum development because we want to bring in the stakeholders and develop a curriculum that can be even taught around all our TVET schools. And it can become one of the subjects there. I think they have 450 courses. We want rafting to be 451. 451. We want it to be 451. And it's very exciting because if you look at our young people, there is something they always look at. They look at where they can tap opportunities. And we are also offering a level whereby to tell them they can also have international exposure. We have some of our guides who have already gotten jobs outside Kenya. We have one in Hong Kong, China, and others in Australia. That also helps them to be motivated to learn and train and to become better. So there is already a laid down plan on how to graduate from a lower level to a higher level. At the moment, we are doing capacity building, but it will be also, it will have even up to level 5 to level 6, whereby you get a diploma. And then, with a TVET diploma, you're almost talking about degree. Yeah. So it has that tires and opportunities.
Let me add on something, Wahome, here, is that most of the activities of, sport in Kenya, people play for leisure. They don't earn.
It's amateur.
It's amateur.
There's a lot of amateur
Very
sports.
good. A lot of amateur. When you look at every sport, almost every other sport in the country. But rafting, there's no amateur. So as long as you are in the river that day, you earn 7,000 shillings. That day. That's a guide. That's a guide. They are paid 7,000 shillings as they come down. And that's a trip. If you do 2 trips, 3 trips, you earn 21,000. So that's why we are saying this is a business that, and you don't have to be in the river the whole week. I can earn 100,000 shillings, Kenya shillings, within 4 weeks, only weekends. Monday to Friday, I do other things. That's why we are saying, John is saying there are lots of opportunities. And especially, I would want to talk to the Kenyan youth.
Yes.
Especially because
this opportunity is there.
Yes.
Because I want to bring in something.
Yes.
So much focus on Sagana,
Yes.
which is basically, if I was to divide the country into two,
Yes.
that is the east.
Yes.
So that what are the opportunities in the west of the country?
True. There are many opportunities. Even we are going to Yala River and other places like Nzoia in western Kenya. So when we are a federation, before we were commercial owners, that we thought probably Sagana is easier to Nairobi and to the airport and all that. But now we are moving as a federation, now we are moving to Western Kenya and Nyanza areas, whereby now we are going to do rafting big. I mean, it will be a big thing. So that now we create employment to our youth. Because you see, if you look at the government policy, even the government at the moment is exporting labor. But before we export even labor, we want to create our own opportunities here in Kenya first. You know, and this is by getting the right people. Rafting, come as a young person, come and train with us. I can assure you, you can raft all over the world.
Yeah.
This is how it works. If I'm a river guide, we have river guides, we have trip leaders, we have also instructors. If you become an instructor, directly you can join the armed forces. You don't have to do any big interview, because even in the discipline forces, they want all this. We manage all that. I mean, you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
You can join the police, you can join this, because they require professionals in that field. Now, as a river guide, you can work in the US for 3 months, depending on the season, work in Europe 3 months, and work in Australia. So it's an all-round. There's no season. Season in Kenya ends when the drought comes. Probably river activities go low, a little bit down. You can fly, go to Uganda. You can fly, go to Austria, like the way when Akamau said that you can go to Finland, you can go to other places. So this is the only work you don't require an interview, you just require qualification.
Well, very interesting. And because he's mentioned River, River Nzoia, Sondu, you have traveled this country in your previous, when you were the chief conservator of forests, which means that you ideally have got some, you've seen every, every water body that is around it. How would you describe the rivers out there, Nzoia, Yala, Sondu, Nyando? Just to name them.
As a country, we are so much blessed. And to me, I see a possibility where rafting can actually present a positive image for this country. Sometimes we are always clouded with negativity and we are not seeing something good. But we also don't, if we don't see something good also, we hurt our health. So it's good just to look at things in a positive way. And I see rafting as a way of exposing Kenyans into different places. Talk about Sondu, for example, it's coming from Mau forest ecosystem. That's the catchment area. So it will also try to increase awareness of rafters along the Sondu River, that there is something we need to conserve in the Mau. If you look at Nzoia, talk about the Yala River. The Yala River transacts through a Kakamega forest ecosystem, which is a beautiful forest ecosystem, but it heads from Mount Elgon. So we are talking about the major water towers actually providing the sustainability model for the rafting. So as we adventure new areas, possibly Kenyans will be able to increase their awareness on environment, conservation, climate change discourse, and also expose young people to become the future leaders. Because what I see is a disconnect. Today, young people are digitized, and meaning they can stay in their house and not even move out for anything. They are actually becoming desocialized. You have a young person who possibly cannot face someone physically. They can only do WhatsApp, TikTok, but physically they cannot. We have to move them from that square and move them to nature and connect them with nature in a way that they can be able to have an experience they will never forget. So I am also seeing an opportunity where the youth also are being moved from their bedrooms and sitting rooms to actually go into the wild and engage with the wild and create another leadership of people who knows that I can engage with the nature, I can be happy, I can recreate, contribute to ecotourism, but also grow myself socially and develop my emotional capacity. I tell you, for resilience building, because I think that's something we are lacking in the youth. They cannot face a small challenge. A small challenge comes, they collapse. But if they are able to face rafting and go to this adventure sport, you also build their resilience and they're able to build a body of young people who are able to face the challenges of the future.
Well, let me just come back. How would you describe those rivers that are out in the West? If you were just to mention them one by one, Nzoia, anybody who went across the road there
Yes.
and the Mean Machine were playing,
Yes.
they would start a song, Arriba Nyando, it's not navigable.
Yes.
And that is what you, because that's what you, they want rivers that are not navigable for their...
Exactly, and that's what nature presents. You see, like, for example, if you look at Aberdares or Mount Elgon, these are altitude areas, like 4,000 meters above sea level.
4,000 meters.
Look at Lake Victoria, it's placed on the lower altitude. So for that, there's a descent. That descent means that you get waterfalls, you get rapids, you get plains. So you have every mix of every water that you'd want to have the experience. So the nature and the rivers that we have in the country are so well built until when they get to the lower level, like for example, you go the Tana Delta where you cannot do so much. But between the Tana Delta and the Mount Kenya, for example, or Aberdares or Mount Elgon, it's actually a descent from almost 4,000 meters to about zero. I mean, there is so much you can do, waterfalls, plains, rapids, you know, cliffs, and all that when they are going through the plateaus. So it's for them and the technical people here. Me, I'm only an environmentalist. It's on the trail. What do you want to use this nature for, as far as rafting is concerned?
Well, and you see, he's now consulting about the environment. So he really, and having done that, maybe SG, you need to keep him close because he's going to tell you all the little pockets,
Yes.
all the little pockets outside of the country. So SG, let me just come to this now because you're now a registered federation, which means that now you have got to interact with the Continental Federation and also with the Global Federation. And you've mentioned about a letter, you know, Morocco saying, we can't host Kenya. Can you do this in Sagana? And, you know, just outline some of the things that they are that they would want, such that if they come in here and do their own survey, then they're able to create the course with all the gates.
Yes, so what I want to say, why Kenya? Why Kenya? Kenya has very good, the roads are very nice, and especially the infrastructure. Let me say the infrastructure for rafting is already there. Number one, we have hotels in Sagana or any other river. The hotels are not too far. If you compare South Africa and Kenya, Kenya is strategically placed. The reason, because commercial rafting companies have already established either camps, hotels. Like now we have Rapids Camp, we have Savage Wilderness, we have Havila Resort, we have Jangwani Camp, we have Nokras, and we have also Napoleon. And there are many others which
That's
are there.
just, if you use the road, it's less than 5K.
Yeah, but not even that. It's a whole highway, man. And you see, you start from Nairobi, Muthaiga, it's a whole highway. Super thick, Thika Road, which is super highway. You get to Sagana Marwa Road, which has been constructed recently by the government. And so you don't require there's no traffic jam. You just get there, you come back to Nairobi. And you see, it's 1 hour. From Sagana to Nairobi, 1 hour. If not only Nairobi, if you want to go to the airport, it's 1 hour. So and you see, hospitals are there. We have level 5 Muranga County. We have Kirinyaga County. So in case of any emergencies or eventualities, the hospitals are there, the ambulances are there. So you can see that. So it's a very good place, space for this country to host. That's why Morocco is asking us. And number two, the river is very safe. Because other rivers, like they have a lot of hippos and crocodiles, is not very safe. So Sagana is safe. And that's why the whole world is coming. We have 155 nationalities coming every year to do whitewater rafting. So that is what we want to do. And Daniel, what I want to add also on what Chief Conservator Emeritus said is the issue of the western part of the country, the Nyanza, the Nyando. So what we want to do, we want to train them as a federation. We will be launching, I think, John, we have been putting around June.
Yes.
We'll have a conference in Western Kenya, whitewater rafting conference. We'll work with the county governments in those sides, whereby we are going to bring them, and the Ministry of Tourism, that's tourism, the TRA, we are going to bring together so that we have stakeholders and we show them the reason why they need to train and also start commercial, because rafting spurs growth. When there's whitewater rafting, there's a lodge. There's no whitewater rafting without a lodge in Kenya.
Very true.
Or even camp. So, and if there's a camp, that means there's employment. If there's a lodge, that means there's employment. But you cannot play any other sport and you start a lodge. It's not possible. It's only whitewater rafting in this country, whereby you can start and you get guys, Kenyans come, You get Muzungus come, and you get a lodge opened, and you see when the lodge is opened, you have to employ other people. So it's a big opportunity that I would like this country, they open up, people see the opportunities. We are ready as a federation to come and train you. We'll give you the right guides. That's why we want to work with TVET the way John has said, so that we produce as many people as possible. Yes.
So let's talk about competition, because as you can see on the screen, going through all of these gates, just give us what a standard course would be if Kenya now says we are taking up the African challenge.
Yes, good.
That's
John.
And
one thing is we must understand that rafting also comes with costs. And like now we have all the equipment, even with the stakeholders, and we are doing it in partnership. And mostly the major cost will be on accommodation. And like the SG has said, there is an infrastructure for that. And then the other thing is meals. And like we have all these hotels along the line whereby you will be getting the meals at a very affordable rate. Other things is like the manpower. Like I mentioned there before, we have already people whom we have identified, whom we have trained, and we will not be spending a lot of money on instructors, because we have our local pool. So I may not, because of the intrigues of the seasonality, I may not cap a cost, because also cost comes with what you need at the particular time, and also the economy. But it's affordable, very affordable. And that's why even somebody like me is able, I have also done rafting, and I did the 8-kilometer challenge, and I was able to finish. So it's not that expensive, it's pocket friendly, and the reason why we know it is not, it's pocket friendly is because we have seen a lot of domestic tourists from within Kenya. As far as we have 150 nationalities coming in, we have a local pool of people who have fallen in love with the sport. And they flock the river, they come, and sometimes even it's the capacity that takes them back. So as regards to costs, is pocket friendly, but we'll put it on our website. We'll put the costs on our website, www.raftinginkenya.com, in such a way that people can be able to go there and know the costs.
so competition-wise, setting up a course, just take us through this, because it's it's down river, and so you have to have people who can do nooses.
Yes, Wahome, thank you. It has a cost. We normally select the technical people come. This is how you start to do, you look at a course. A course is a section, can be as wide as 6 kilometers, or even narrow as like about 300 meters. Now, we normally build gates, and we have two types. The main competition in rafting, we call it raft 4 and raft 6.
4 where you've got 4.
Yeah, you've got 4 guys.
6.
Yes, and 6. So that's how you do. And you're supposed to row together. It has to be, the synergy and the sequence should be the same. So these are people who are trained. So you get into the gate, you don't touch it. If you touch it, then you lose some marks. So there are invigilators who keep on checking. So if you have, and you have to, and there are places where there are big currents, the big rapids, you have now to go around, get into the gate without touching it, either body-wise or even the raft. So that's how we work, and we have also 6. So 6 goes a little bit far, and 4 goes, you can do, it depends with the technical team. They want to set it. But even us, we are going to have our gates by next month. January, end of January, we should have our gates. We are getting somebody from Iran to come and set the gates for us. So it will be amazing. But this will be the first time when we'll have gates in Kenya. So it hasn't been done before. As we said, we have been doing, doing rafting for our money, putting money in our pockets. But now we look at it as a sport and leisure also. Yes.
All right. Let me come to you, Bwana Kamau, because we have identified, this has been considered, it's non-extractive, so to speak. And what about for extractive sports that, that may have, a lot to do with nature. I'll use one, or the one that actually requires nature to some extent. Beach soccer, if it's played at the beach volleyball, such things. How do we ensure, or if we are to do beach volleyball in the country, what's the right thing to ensure that we don't, we managed, especially the siltation, so that we have the right type of sand as we see in Makueni and Machakos counties?
Yeah, there's two sides of it, because anywhere you see a beach volleyball which is not on the beach itself means that sand has been harvested from somewhere, which of course you have to use the normal regulatory provisions by NEMA to ensure that you also don't cause harm into doing so. So it's very contentious, but I think the best soil the sand is not even from Makueni or that area. The best would be from the coastline, the coast region. That would be the best to represent the beach anyway from the beach. Otherwise, then it will be something else. So it has a negative, but the negative impact can be mitigated in a sense because it's also small quantities, but it should be avoided for large quantity and also where you get it. For example, if you go to the coast region, the area you are not supposed to harvest the beach sand, because possibly in the mangrove area where there's breeding sites for fish and seaweed and turtles and all that. So they need to be guided on where you need to collect it for that. But I think it's an innovation because even people now understand there's a link between the sand and also the conservation level that we have. But remember also, when we have reduced water, actually on Sagana and other rivers, it affects the coast region in a sense, because when there's less flow of water into the sea, okay, then the seawater comes where we are. So we have to maintain a certain volume of water for us to stabilize our environment. So for that, I would say that let's be guided by the law that governs how we manage our environment, ensure that whatever we do does not cause harm, but actually whatever harm is there is small and can be mitigated to allow both nature and people and sport to thrive, because that's what nature is meant for. Yes.
Maybe adding on that, Wahome, what our director is saying here is that if on the conservation, if there's no water, even this studio will not be powered. Because 50%, remember about 50% or so thereabout, of our electricity comes from hydro.
Yes.
So which is Masinga and the hydro dams, the Seven Forks dams. So
if the one at the bridge can't work, I don't know what's going to happen.
No, it can't. It cannot.
the one on the Sagana bridge, if it's not working,
yes.
I don't know if you even Masinga will run.
Hydro cannot be produced if there's no water. Marine life, all these hippos and crocodiles, fish, water to drink, farming, it can't work. So that's the only way, and that's why Bwana Kamau is saying here that, look, we need to preserve, and I want to call forth even members of generating companies, like Kengen. I would want to address them. Let them get involved in rafting so that we save this environment together. They may say, oh, okay, fine, it's for only rafting, it's okay. But if water goes, we are going to take our boats, put them in the store, but they are going to lose big because they'll not have anything to sell, like power. So we need all stakeholders together, Kenya Power, Kengen, and Kenya Forest Service, or KWS, because if there's no water, our animals will die. So that's why we need to come up. This is not about rafting only, or the KRF, but every other stakeholder. Stakeholders should be involved. The government of the day, and and other corporate people, including companies.
So, John, let me come to you. And when would you envisage, having rafting or courses around rafting now become part of our curriculum, such that those who leave high schools can get into this sector and make the best of it, because it looks like every 3 months you can be in a different country. You can be in Kenya, you can be when it's warm up north, you can go down there. When it's warm in South Africa, Australia, you can go down there.
That's a very good question, and I would start by saying as soon as January, we will have the capacity building part in place, because that one doesn't need a lot of infrastructure. The infrastructure is already ready because it's the basic part. But as far as the other curriculum, when we discussed with the TVET and CDAC, we found that it will involve a process, and therefore it might be in the second quarter of the year 2025. But let me say, when we are building the capacity, it offers the interest and the motivation so that even when the other curriculum is rolled down, it will sync. There will be a good transition, there will be no issue. But as we sit here, I would encourage the youth, I would encourage ladies and the women. Actually, even I have a message also for the disabled community of Kenya. If they are able also to exploit the rafting sport for adrenaline and all these, there is a huge potential for there. So that one immediately on January, by January, as I would encourage them to enroll, and maybe before we finish, we can also give them our email address so that they can start sending in their applications, and then we can go through them and then advise. But as soon as January, the capacity building part will be ready. And I will tell you, even without going with the local curriculum, we have already an international curriculum in place, whereby we can be able to look at the facilitators and do the capacity building without even waiting for the syllabus.
Which means that ideally that is from the sporting code.
Yes.
That comes in the same way FIFA trains coaches, referees.
Yes.
The same thing. Now, I would like to, bring in here, if we are going to be competitive and, now bring up this sporting aspect, because we can see that if you are, from what you have said, if you're a national team rafter, then your daily pay is, so to speak, very interesting in this country. It's a significant amount of money. Even if you do it on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and you do 2 sessions, not many people in suits earn that much. To be clear, how do you intend to have this national team set up? Coaching staff, support staff, and selecting competitors.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Home. So it's very interesting. We intend to, first of all, start. As I said, there is a big opportunity. This is the only opportunity. Even I tell my children, of course, they are rafters. They earn, even now as they, you see, let me start with this. Even their school fees, I don't pay from my pocket. They earn by rafting. When they take the Muzungus, they get 7,000 shillings. It goes to the school. So that's how I've been even paying school fees. So it helps me as a parent.
They're over 18, eh?
Yeah, they're over 18. Of course. Even if they are not over 18, we still pay them something. We still pay. So what we are saying, we are going to bring in, we are forming a coach. We are bringing in a coach. We are going to appoint a coach competitively. We have already told them to send applications. So by end of January, we should have, or February there, we should have a national coach. And this will be on qualifications, because we have guides in Kenya who are very good. Not on politics, qualification, number one. Number two, we are forming a committee of technical people that will look at all these activities. That's how you put a national team. One, we'll form a committee to look at the national team and what the national team requires. The gear, the equipment, the training, and everything. That's a national team. The other aspect is the technical, which will look at the facilities. The facilities means the technical course, which now the rafting championship will happen. So that's how you form a team. And then from there now we bring other stakeholders. We'll have another team which now will do advertisement, we'll do now media, we'll bring all these together, and we'll form now the championship in May, possibly, or June, early June. So that's how you do it. So we just do it, we have subcommittees, and they are going to work out something on a very transparent manner. As we don't have a briefcase thing, it's really obvious.
I know that is one of the biggest fears any administrator has. And, I'll come to you, Bwana Kamau. And one of the things is collaboration, especially for our region. Yes. Because it's mentioned the opportunities are actually, you can see there is East Africa community. I think you mentioned it on Friday that the EAC, we may have our differences, but we have Lake Victoria.
Yes.
And that is the mother of that, relationship around that. What eventually is now becoming, I think very soon it may change into the Great Lakes community, because looking at the membership that is coming, how much more, can you, having worked with bodies all interacted with, at the highest level of government, can you tell a federation to, help a federation such that they can maximize whatever opportunities are for those, say for example, for Uganda, for Tanzania, for Kenya, Rwanda, Burundi, I think even DR Congo now.
Yes. I think it's a very strategic initiative in a sense that it's unique. And two, it's based on nature, which defines any humanity across the world. No one can deny about nature. And it's now federation has been registered to become a body corporate, which means it can engage with other corporates, and especially even with the government framework. So as they deepen their work within Kenya, for example, talking about the Western region, another place we have rivers that can support rafting, they also need now to have a system of engaging other countries. And they can utilize EAC as or Lake Victoria Basin Commission, which actually is in charge of basically dealing with the sustainable program of Lake Victoria to engage with other countries in the region. I think, I presume, during the launch, I saw someone coming from all the way from Congo. That's a very good start. And in Congo, we have beautiful rivers, actually, again supported by the Congo Basin and the forested areas in that region. So if you look at the Kagera rivers and others that are drains in the Lake Victoria, it's a wide, massive thing. And what I see here is where the rafting itself is a sport, adventurous. It also advances our ecotourism, meaning there is issues of revenue generation. It also affect and support the life of the community that support these initiatives in terms of livelihood. But more importantly, it is the one that will help people to connect with nature, understand nature best, and therefore they are able to be more of good stewards in our nature. And we require that across the region. One of the major challenges for Victoria is pollution. It's pollution, basically. So that you have water hyacinth coming in, you have fish production going down. Why? Because you're not able to conserve and protect our water catchment and keep the environment safe from pollution. One thing I like about this initiative is that it's actually clean. It's climate neutral. For example, they are not using any diesel to drive this. It's a human body. The kayak don't have any agent for petrol or for diesel. So it's actually a very clean sport that can actually be utilized by government, by entities to advance the essence of why we should conserve our environment and keep sustainability for our own life and livelihoods at the same time we enjoy.
All right, now here it is from the conversations you've had, for example, John, and now because, for example, your guides have seen that this has been registered and they're now seeing opportunities. What are your river guides saying? What are the stories they bring back? And because most of them would be on kayaks, but now, they can actually also be very competitive on this.
I think they are very excited. Actually, if you looked during the launch, you would see the level of excitement because most of our guides were present during the launch. And I think now they see that from the onset with the secretariat already in place, and I would like to congratulate the SG for the management of rafting, especially through his expertise in Kenya. They now look at that sport with hope. And there is nothing as good in life. I have a HR background.
Yes.
Like working with a hope for the future. And as opposed to where in the past, they were looking that as only for leisure. Now they can see that the whole world is on their side, especially like the way we have mentioned about stakeholders like from Congo are there. It offers excitement. And again, when they see the exposure, like when they see the media there, they see the spotlight and they see, wow. So whatever we have been engaging on offers opportunities. And then they also have been trained on levels. They know there is a highest level. If you look at the International Rafting Federation website,
yes,
you will find that in the whole of Africa, you will only find one person, one qualified instructor who moves around. Now when they interact with us, those type of people, they have already noted that there is a lot of potential. And then therefore they will engage in these sports. with an assurance that they can always contribute to the welfare of the society in different ways. And therefore, I would like to say that it offers them also a way of seeing that they can also be able to contribute positively to the society they live in, because of seeing the level of stakeholders and the excitement around it, and that is very good.
What's the current levels? I mean, this is for you, William and John. The current levels of our guides, because this knowledge is transferred.
Yes.
For example, in Kenya, I know when you watch football and you see VAR, in Kenya we only have one qualified to be a VAR in CAF. One.
Okay.
I mean, and we are proud, and we are ready. And how would I say? We are ready to, say, bring more. Other countries are saying we want that knowledge. How are we rising?
Yes, we currently in Kenya, as I said, this is a very new sport. We have about 25 to 30 river guides. That is the lowest level. Then we have about 7 or 8 people who are now trip leaders. Because you see, it's you graduate from this level to, but now we have not reached an instructor's level. So we now need to move on with training, so that now we become an instructor. An instructor is like somebody who has a master's in rafting. Yes. So that's the reason why we are saying there's a big opportunity. We want to work with the government, and especially CDAC, TVET, to just see that, yes, we give our people employment, we give our people opportunities, we give our people, the growth that they need. Do you know, can I tell you, it's only...
Okay, can you just hold that thought? Because
Yes.
I've been asked that we take a break now, so that you can hold that thought, then we can, wind down the program with that thought that's coming. Just after this short break, our sign language interpreter has been Brian Muraru. And welcome back to Sports Check on this Monday morning. It is the 16th day of December 2024. Well, the year is coming to a close, but there is still lots of sport to talk about. Our sign language interpreter joining us with this hour is Anne Wangeshi, and we're having a conversation about whitewater rafting. It's very interesting how you can, make sure that there are people who are employed here by a sport which you take part in it once, then you're considered to be a part of it. The moment you lose the fear of the rapids, the currents, the cataracts, and the water, then you want to do it again and again and again, and you can turn professional, earn a living, 7,000 bob for every trip, for being a guide for one trip. I know that is an opportunity that everyone would love. So if you do 21,000. You do that 3 times a week, 63,000. You're in the 240s. That's, some salaries that very many people would want to have. So earning potential is there. And we're with William Kinuthia, who is the Secretary General of the Kenya Rafting Federation. We have got Julius Mao, who's the Chief Conservator of Forests Emeritus, and John Cheget, Director, Training and Development at the Rafting Federation of Kenya. So William had put a hold on to thoughts that you had.
Yes, the thought was that if all of us, we can pull resources together, we come out and embrace this sport. I'm sure as parents, I'm talking to parents, you can now, the area of getting employment for your child, you'll have sorted that. So that's why we are saying contact us as a federation, and of course, employment issues will be gone forever.
Okay.
Yes.
Competition calendar for 2025, how do you, because you've said the criteria that you'd want to use to select the team, global competition is now available for you.
Yes, first of all, we start with the African Championship that we are looking to host as a country, because that is very, very important. So we start that Kenya has been requested from by the President of Africa, Rafting Council in Morocco, Abbas, Belabas, that we host the first ever championship. So we are very excited as a country, and we look forward to see that we are able to host successfully. One would like to request many stakeholders that can, and people who are watching us now, that if you think you can get involved, the door is not locked. We are widely opening the door for sponsorship so that you can come, whichever smaller way you may think you can. Well done, we will all come. Number 2 is now the international calendar, which is now we have for 2025. So rafting, we normally do a world calendar like any other sport, whereby you know there's a FIFA World Cup or there's Olympics going on, so we still have a calendar. And I'm just going to to mention some of these things. We'll have on 2025, 25th of April to 27th, we'll have World Rafting Cup, which will be in Austria. We also have May 30th to 1st of June, that is next Madaraka Day. We'll have the Next Generation Rafting Cup in Serbia. Then we have also June 6th to June 8th. World Rafting Cup will be in Italy. Then we have also Junior Under 23 Championship in Solkan, Slovenia. And then finally, we have other activities for August 1 to 4th in Kashmir, India. And then we have another one in September 1st to September 6th, the Next Generation Rafting Cup in Riz, Turkey, or Turkey. So those are some of the activities that we have, and we look forward that we'll have our people also go with us and travel and see how it happens. We'll take our guides there.
Okay, well,
we can learn.
Can see that the sport has got a lot of alpine touch. All the river seems to flow from the Alps going one way or another. Yeah. Just the direction of it says a lot. Okay, so closing words now from you, Training and Development Director.
Maybe I would like to appeal to our Gen Zs and to enroll on these programs that we have on training in rafting. And the reason being that this is one of the items in our training calendar that has not been exploited, and we have overcrowded other academic portfolios. So I would request and I would appeal to all our Gen Zs. This is an emerging opportunity, and we usually say that opportunities come dressed in an overall. So I would like to tell them that it is a high time you go to your email and you send us an email at info@raftinginkenya.com and book your space first on the January capacity building program, and then in the future as we roll the program you will also benefit from the other programs. Right. And I can attest it to you here that there is a lot of future in rafting.
Well, sure enough. And the future depends on the words that we're going to get from Wanakamau. Because conserving this and making sure that rafting can happen over and over. I think it was mentioned that, I mean, the water levels now can be erratic at times down in Sagana, and also, you know, making sure that we actually do whitewater rafting.
Yes.
You know, like golfers say, there are browns and greens. Yes. Now, we would like to see it white.
Yeah, to make it white, and from a conservation background and sustainability background, I am just so excited that the Federation has seen it wise to mainstream and to understand that for sustainability of route rafting requires us to conserve our ecosystem. So that's why I'm so excited. What I can ask all Kenyans, wherever they are, and all partners who are able to play a part in ensuring sustainability of our water system, so that it's actually white, not brown, is basically to do that small action to protect environment. Wherever you are, just protect environment. If we protect nature, then nature will protect us.
Yeah, and the water towers to protect, there is Mount Kenya, Aberdares, Mau, Chirangani, Mount Elgon.
Yes.
Those are our 5 water towers. Protect them, and you can do it everywhere. And let's see the sport grow, because like SG here said, he would love to see the sport grow, you know, to the Western, to all of those little moments. Well, there it is. Thank you very much, gentlemen. William Kinothia, SG, Kenya Rafting Federation, former Chief Conservator of Forests, Julius Kamau, and Training and Development Director at the Kenya Rafting Federation, John Chege, for being with us.
Thank you.
Well, let's get a throwback. And we're looking at Kipchoge here. Just one little throwback. And next, we'll be talking about a sport that nobody